Welcome to an overview of the Literature Review, 6 Steps to Success by Machi and Brenda McEvoy. The information shown on the slides can be found in a flowchart format beginning on Roman numeral 9 in the book. So let's get started. Step 1, select a topic. Here's where you need to take some time. Get out a pencil, a journal, and start reflecting. What are your interest areas? Is there anything practical going on in education or your school system that you could research? Do not try to rewrite the system or change the world. Find a little piece of the system to work on. You will need to be able to live with this topic for a year or more. Task 1. Let's talk about identifying a subject for study. Keep in mind my previous comment about choosing something you can live with for approximately 1 or more years. Self-reflection is key at this time. You will want to like or be honestly interested in what you choose to write about. When you have a general idea of what you are interested in, you can search journals for articles on that topic and see what has been done so far. Look for gaps in the literature. Do not be afraid to reach out to your chair, your university's research librarian, and even your school system. They may have very practical suggestions that will help guide you during this task. Task 2. In order to focus your research question, listen to the example from the book. To what degree do standardized test scores predict actual student achievement? This example is too broad. Which test scores? SOLs? SATs? Something else? How will you measure the prediction? What group of students are you focusing on? How will you measure and define achievement? Take into account all of these questions. All of these questions for focusing will help you refine and limit your interest. When refining, think about the individuals, the groups, or organizations you are planning to study. Take time to identify and name those people. As you work on selecting a perspective, think about what academic area you are familiar with. See page 25 of the Literature Review for further information on choosing a perspective. Task 3. It will be helpful to speak with your chair at this time. They can further help you refine your statement, learn the terminology you will need to know, and point you in the right direction for literature. Here at Regent, each school is assigned a research librarian. You can find our librarian and research guides specific to education at the web address on the bottom of this slide. And in my experience, they have always been very quick at responding and very helpful. So I hope you will take advantage of that. Task 4, write the preliminary research topic statement. You will need now to complete exercise 1.6 on page 32 of the Literature Review. In short, reach out to your research librarian, define the key terms from your statement, and revise your initial statement to become a topic statement. Develop the tools of argumentation. This is step 2, and it might sound like you're about to be in conflict with someone, but that is not the case. When talking about argumentation in the academic arena, we mean for you to persuade people to your point of view. You will find evidence to support your claims. That is the argument we are discussing in this step. Concept 1. You will need to present an argument based on evidence. This builds the case for your literature review. Concept 2. Again, when we discuss an argument, we are talking about being persuasive with our evidence. Page 41 of the Literature Review provides a simple equation for argument. It is pictured on this slide and described in the book as clouds are gathering. That's reason A. The barometer is falling. That's reason B. And rain is forecast. That's reason C. Therefore, it will probably rain on our commute becomes the thesis of the argument or conclusion. Concept 3, it discusses evaluating the basic parts of an argument. You can see the very simple visual of evidence, claim, and warrant on this slide. Page 42 of the Literature Review gives a simple and succinct example of how this works. The claim is that you should not cross the street. The evidence is that the traffic signal is red. The warrant is the unstated rule that implies that a red signal light means to stop. If you want to further practice your use of evidence, claim, and warrant, I encourage you to see exercise 2.1 on pages 42 and 43 of the textbook. Concept 4, understanding the claims. What are you asserting? What is your position? There is a very helpful table on page 45 of the text that breaks down the different types of claims. The 5 types of claims are listed here as fact, worth, policy, concept, and interpretation. All of these types still need strong evidence to back them. Fact must be backed by truth. Worth claims are more about merit. Policy relates to set criteria and standards. Concept discusses ideas backed by expert testimony. Interpretation relates to data, research, and anecdotal studies. There is a very helpful table on page 45 of the text that breaks down the different types of claims. I hope you'll check it out. Concept 5, building the evidence. There are 3 main ideas I want you to remember with concept 5. Data is not necessarily evidence. Data is the information you are collecting to build evidence. When looking for data, you want high quality and relevant data. Concept 6, warranting, logically connecting the evidence to the claim. Page 51 describes this process as warrant frames evidence by using some rule of logic to draw a reasoned conclusion, thereby justifying the claim. Concept 7, complex claims. Our text defines an argument as a simple claim. Multiple simple claims compose a complex claim. You can learn more about this concept beginning on page 53 of the text. Now, step 3 is called search the literature. According to page 60, this is the point where you will begin collecting, cataloging, and documenting data that will determine salient works and refine the topic. Task 1, select the literature to review. Be sure to remind yourself of your subject of inquiry as you begin to collect literature that is appropriate for your writing. Task 2, conduct a literature search. You will use 3 tools for this process: scanning, skimming, and mapping. While task 2 is explained in full on pages 62 through 78, I am going to share a brief definition of the tools. Scanning, an organizing search of library and online catalogs, subject area encyclopedias, periodical indexes, and abstracts. The scan's purpose is to identify work for possible inclusion in the study. Skimming, a rapid perusal of possible works to identify important ideas and their specific contribution to the research study, and to determine whether or not to use the work. Mapping, a technique that organizes the results of skimming to put the topic story together, building core idea and author maps and cross-referencing them. An easy way to organize what you have skimmed, if you have not already, is to create a running annotated bibliography. An annotated bibliography is a large part of this class, EFND 800. You can reference the 7th edition of the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association, or for short, the APA Manual. Pages 307 and 308 of the APA Manual are very helpful for formatting your annotated bibliography. Task 3, refine your topic. You want to keep strong boundaries around your topic. One way the book suggests to avoid making your topic too broad is to remind yourself what you are not studying. Focus your vision in as you continue to research. Step 4, survey the literature. Let's jump right into the associated tasks. So we've got task 1, assemble the collected data. Now it's time to review your data, check for quality, and begin to make lists of authors and citations. There are several ways to assemble the data, including maps or computer programs such as Citation, EndNote, or RefWorks. You can create a tally matrix to help you analyze your data. Task 2, organize the information. At this point, you will look over your work that you've organized in the previous step and look for emerging stories and patterns. You may want to create a storyboard to get a visual on what you're working with. Task 3, analyze the patterns of data. At this point, you will map the discovery argument and analyze the argument. On page 96 of the this process is described as to explain what is known about the subject, build the discovery argument, make this argument by arranging the simple claims you developed in column 7 of the tally matrix from task 2 into a complex argument. This task demands analysis, which is the purpose of task 3 in the literature survey. Step 5, critique the literature. Let's begin by defining literature critique. On page 108 of the Machi and McEvoy text, it is defined as interprets the current understanding of the research topic and logically determines how this knowledge answers the research question. Step 5 has concepts and tasks, so we're going to break it down a little differently. Concepts. As you can see, we've got 5 concepts. 1, making the case for the literature review. 2, descriptive argument patterns, factual reasoning. 3, implicative argument patterns, implicative reasoning. 4, the implicative argument, 9 basic patterns, and 5, backing. You can find in-depth descriptions of each of these concepts on pages 108 through 120 of our text. Refer back to the quote on the previous slide as you begin to connect all the concepts and forthcoming tasks. The second portion of the literature critique is building the advocacy argument. There are 3 tasks that will aid you in completing your advocacy argument. Now let's move on to the tasks. Determine the logic pattern inferred by study topic. Reframe claims to meet conditions required by logic type. Build advocacy argument. These tasks will help you further clarify the research topic and answer the research question with the information you have gleaned. So now you're really getting somewhere. Concepts 6 and 7, fallacies and the case is everything. Fallacies refer to fallacious arguments, jumping to conclusions, or drawing incorrect conclusions and reviewing your collected material can lead to fallacies. Tread carefully and refer back to all you have learned through the Machi and McEvoy book. Finally, the case is everything. Does your literature make a sound case for your thesis? Comb over your work carefully and remember to keep appropriate boundaries for what you are studying and the quality of the material you are using. We are almost at the finish line. Step 6, write the review. We have arrived. This is step 6 as outlined in the text. Let's move on to the associated tasks. Task 1, write to understand. Review your notes and memoranda. You have done so much preparation. Do not let it go to waste. Trust in the process. It will pay off. Next, exploratory write. Machi and McEvoy suggest imagining you are preparing for a test. What do you know about your subject at this point? Are you able to explain it to someone else? You will need to use your notes often. You cannot rely on your memory at this point. Page 138 and page 149 provide a great exercise for exploratory writing. I recommend you give it a try. Now it's time to outline. Get all your information in a sequence so you are ready to compose your review. The main parts of the review will be an introduction, the body, and summation. You will have subpoints within those main items. Finally, write your preliminary draft. I have heard professors and the authors of our text refer to writing as having a baby. It can't happen in one day. Take your time, little by little, and begin to write. Do not be afraid of searching dictionaries or for synonyms online if you find yourself at a loss for the right word. Remember, at this point, you are writing to understand. That is for you to understand all you have collected and assembled. So please be patient with yourself. Task 2. Let's change gears. You have worked hard to assemble your information and to write to understand. Now it's time to write to be understood by others. This task calls for you to write the final draft, revise, you may have a second and third draft, that's okay, and then complete your final draft. I want to remind you as you work on your final draft, the School of Education adheres to the style of the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. As you format your final draft, please refer often to the APA manual. I prefer using the index at the back of the manual to look up the page number I need rather than reading straight through the manual like a typical book. I also use little tabs to note the pages that I use often, especially references, writing style, and in-text citation. So I hope that will help you as well. All right, submit the literature review. You are finished. The final action is to submit the literature review. May all of your hard work pay off. I hope this slideshow helped you as you prepare to navigate the literature review by Lawrence, Machi, and Brenda McEvoy.